Your taxes paid millions to hide what Camilla did to Princess Diana. Here's what they buried: 30 secrets, PR campaigns, legal threats, a taxpayer-funded operation with its own codename. One of these secrets involves a phone recording so humiliating, the palace scrambled for years to suppress it. Another exposes the man who planted over 100 fake positive stories in the British press. And there are documents they're still paying to keep hidden, right now, this year. Let's get into it. Number 1, the affair started before Diana. Charles and Camilla's relationship didn't begin after his marriage fell apart. It began years before Diana ever entered the picture, years before Diana even knew Charles existed. They met in 1971 at a polo match. Camilla reportedly walked up to Charles and said, "My great-grandmother was the mistress of your great-great-grandfather. I feel we have something in common." Charles was immediately captivated. But he left for naval duty, and Camilla married Andrew Parker Bowles in 1973. Most people assumed that was the end of it. It wasn't. When Charles married Diana in 1981, the relationship with Camilla had already resumed. It never really stopped. Diana wasn't a failed wife. She was set up to fail from the very beginning. The deck was stacked against her before she ever walked down the aisle. Number 2, Diana knew on her wedding day. The night before the wedding, the night before 750 million people would watch her walk down the aisle, Diana found a bracelet. Charles had ordered it custom-made for Camilla. The initials GF were engraved on it. Their private nicknames, Gladys and Fred. Diana later told Andrew Morton she wanted to call off the wedding that night. She felt, "Everything was just closing in on me." Her sisters told her it was too late. Her face was already on the tea towels. She walked down that aisle knowing exactly what she was walking into. Number 3, there were 3 of us in this marriage. Diana's famous quote from her 1995 Panorama interview wasn't speculation. It was 14 years of lived experience. There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded. 23 million people watched her say those words. The palace spent the next decade and millions of pounds trying to undo the damage of that single sentence. Number 4, the honeymoon photos. During their honeymoon aboard the royal yacht Britannia, Diana discovered photographs of Camilla hidden in Charles's belongings. On their honeymoon, days into their marriage, photos of the other woman tucked away in his things. She also found cufflinks with intertwined C's. Charles and Camilla. He wore them during their honeymoon. This is documented in multiple biographies. The cruelty wasn't accidental. It was deliberate. Number 5, Diana was warned. Multiple people tried to tell Diana before the wedding. Her own grandmother, Lady Fermoy, warned her directly about Charles and Camilla's relationship. Staff members at Buckingham Palace knew. Family members knew. The whole institution knew the marriage was doomed before it began. They pushed forward with the wedding anyway. A 19-year-old girl, barely out of childhood, sacrificed for appearances, for the succession, for the institution. Nobody protected her. Number 6, the tampon tapes. Here's that recording I mentioned at the beginning, the one the palace spent years trying to suppress, the one that changed everything about how the British public saw their future king. Late at night, Charles and Camilla on what they believed was a completely private phone call. An intimate conversation between 2 people who thought absolutely no one was listening, who thought they were safe, who thought their words would never leave that room. They were wrong. Charles told Camilla, and this is a direct verified quote published in newspapers across the world, that he wished he could be reincarnated as her tampon, so he could live inside her. I still remember when these tapes came out in 1993. The whole country was talking about it. Every newspaper, every radio show, every conversation at work. You couldn't believe what you were reading about your future king. People were genuinely shocked, disgusted, embarrassed for the monarchy, those words about his mistress, while still legally married to Diana, while Diana was still alive and suffering, while Diana was still trying to hold her family together. The transcripts were published in The Sun, Daily Mirror, and The People. Millions of people read the exact words. The palace couldn't deny them. They could only try to make people forget. That's not speculation. That's not tabloid gossip. That's verified, published, documented British history. And guess who paid to clean it up? Number 7. They knew about the tapes for years. Now here's what makes the tampon tapes even more damaging. The palace knew the tapes existed before they went public. Years of warning, years to prepare a response, years to potentially acquire them or suppress them legally. Instead, they focused on reputation control after the fact. Crisis communications, damage control, all funded by the institution. Public money, private scandal. Number 8, the Camilla-gate cover-up cost. Legal fees, PR consultants, media handlers, reputation recovery specialists. The costs of dealing with the tampon tapes fallout ran into the millions. Exact figures were never publicly disclosed, but royal household budgets showed unexplained spikes in communications and legal services, spending for years afterward. That cleanup bill? More than most people earn in a lifetime, and it came out of your pocket. Number 9. Diana's bulimia. Diana openly stated that her eating disorder began shortly after discovering the extent of Charles's affair with Camilla, the stress of it, the betrayal, the isolation inside palace walls, the knowledge that her husband loved someone else and everyone around her knew it. She was suffering, visibly, publicly suffering, while the palace focused on protecting Camilla's reputation. Number 10. The Rottweiler nickname. Diana privately called Camilla the Rottweiler. Multiple staff members confirmed this nickname, the woman who wouldn't let go, the woman who was always there, always calling, always present, even when physically absent. Diana knew exactly who had destroyed her marriage, and she had a name for her. Number 11. Charles never stopped calling. Phone records and staff accounts confirmed Charles called Camilla constantly throughout his marriage to Diana, sometimes multiple times per day, even on royal tours, even on family holidays. Even when Diana was in the same building, Diana knew about every call. She could do nothing to stop them. Number 12, Operation Mrs. PB. Think about this for a moment. They gave Camilla's image rehabilitation an actual military-style code name, Operation Mrs. PB. The PB stood for Parker Bowles. This wasn't informal palace gossip. This was an official, coordinated, multi-year campaign run by senior palace communications staff, meetings in palace offices, strategies debated behind closed doors, timelines established, budgets allocated and tracked, progress reports written and filed. They treated rehabilitating Camilla's image like a military operation, because that's how seriously they took it, because that's how much they knew they needed to change. Your taxes funded an operation with an actual internal code name, specifically designed to make you forget what you knew about Camilla, to make you forget what she did to Diana, to make you accept her as your future queen. Operation Mrs. PB. Remember that name. Number 13, the non-negotiable demand. When Charles and Diana's marriage was clearly over, Charles made one thing absolutely clear to the Queen. Camilla was non-negotiable. He would not give her up, not for the monarchy, not for public opinion, not even for his sons who had just lost their mother. The Queen had to accept it or lose her heir. Number 14. The boys were forced to meet her. William and Harry's first official meeting with Camilla was orchestrated by palace staff in 1998. William was just 16 years old. Harry was only 13. Their mother had been dead for less than a year. The grief was still raw. The wound was still open. The meeting was arranged at St. James's Palace. Brief, controlled, timed down to the minute. Every detail planned in advance. Camilla reportedly needed a gin and tonic to get through it. She was shaking with nerves before walking into the room. She knew what she represented to those boys. She knew what they thought of her. But imagine how those boys felt. Teenagers, still grieving, still raw from losing their mother in that tunnel in Paris, being told they had to meet the woman their mother had called the Rottweiler, the woman at the center of their parents' destroyed marriage, the woman their father had chosen over their mother again and again and again. They had no choice in the matter. The institution required it. The rehabilitation demanded it. Their feelings didn't matter. The schedule mattered. Two grieving boys, forced to shake hands with the other woman because the PR campaign needed a photo op. Number 15. Diana was isolated. After the separation, palace staff received clear instructions about how to treat Diana. She was cut off piece by piece. Her security was reduced. Her support systems within the palace were dismantled. Her access to resources was limited. While Camilla's image was being rehabilitated with public money, Diana was being pushed further and further out. Number 16. The PR budget explosion. After Diana's death in August 1997, the royal household's communications budget increased dramatically. Crisis handling, reputation repair, long-term image work, all to make Britain forget what they knew about Camilla, all to soften the public's memory of what she had done. The tab landed on your doorstep. Number 17. Planted stories. Positive stories about Camilla didn't appear in newspapers by accident. Palace communications staff placed them there on purpose. They cultivated journalists, built relationships over lunches and drinks, fed narratives to friendly reporters who'd print whatever they were told. Public opinion didn't shift naturally. It was a con job, and you paid for it. Number 18. The staged first appearance. January 1999. Charles and Camilla's first public appearance together, leaving the Ritz Hotel in London. The palace had spent 18 months preparing the public for this moment. Place stories, photo opportunities, strategic timing down to the hour. Even the surprised photographers were tipped off in advance. Nothing about their public rehabilitation was organic. Every moment was planned. Number 19. Mark Bolland. Remember this name. Mark Bolland, the architect of everything you now believe about Camilla, the man who changed how Britain sees her. He served as Charles's deputy private secretary from 1996 to 2002. His specific assignment: rehabilitate Camilla Parker Bowles in the eyes of the British public. That was his job. That was what he was paid to do. He later admitted publicly, in interviews on the record without shame, to planting over 100 positive stories about Camilla in the British press. Think about that number. 100 stories, placed across the Times, the Telegraph, the Mail, tabloids, and broadsheets alike, all designed to shift your perception, to make you forget what you knew about her, to replace the truth with a carefully constructed narrative. Stories about her charity work, stories about her warmth, stories about how difficult things had been for her, stories positioning her as a victim rather than the other woman, stories making you feel sorry for her instead of Diana. He was paid with public money to manipulate public opinion about the woman who helped destroy the people's princess. He was paid to make you forget Diana's pain. 100 planted stories, and that's just what he admitted to. Imagine what he didn't admit to. Number 20. The wicked stepmother strategy. Bolland's strategy specifically targeted the wicked stepmother narrative. The goal: soften Camilla's image, humanize her, make her seem warm, unthreatening, even sympathetic. Meanwhile, Diana's memory was handled differently. Not erased, that would be too obvious, just faded, softened, made less sharp over time. Number 21. The wedding date. Charles and Camilla's 2005 wedding was originally scheduled for April 8th. It was moved to April 9th, so Charles could attend Pope John Paul II's funeral instead. The optics of attending a pope's funeral mattered more than the wedding date. Every single detail was considered for public perception. Number 22. The Queen refused. Queen Elizabeth II initially refused to attend Charles and Camilla's wedding ceremony. She only attended the blessing afterward at Windsor Castle. Even the Queen, after years of pressure, after all the PR campaigns, struggled to fully accept Camilla. Number 23. The manufactured opinion shift. Look at these numbers. Pay attention to them, because they tell you everything you need to know about what happened. In 1997, the year Diana died, 82% of the British public opposed Camilla ever becoming queen. 82%. The country despised her. They blamed her for Diana's suffering. They didn't want her anywhere near the throne. By 2022, opposition had dropped to 28%, a 54-point swing in 25 years. More than half the country changed their minds. That doesn't happen organically. That doesn't happen because people naturally forgot what she did. That kind of shift doesn't happen by accident. Not with something this personal, not with something this emotional. That's millions of pounds spent on spin, decades of carefully managed media appearances, hundreds of planted stories, an operation with an actual code name. Professional reputation handlers working year after year after year to change how you felt about her. You were persuaded to change your mind about her. You were manipulated into forgetting, and you paid for that persuasion with your own taxes. The numbers prove it worked. The numbers prove it was worth every penny they spent. To them. Number 24, Diana's jewelry. Camilla now regularly wears jewelry that once belonged to Diana, pieces that Diana wore to events, pieces that William and Harry watched their mother wear. The palace sees nothing inappropriate about this. Number 25, the title they couldn't use. When Charles and Camilla married in 2005, she was legally entitled to be called Princess of Wales, Diana's title. Public backlash was so fierce, so immediate, that she used Duchess of Cornwall instead. The palace knew Diana's title on Camilla would have been catastrophic. Number 26, the Queen Consort Reversal. For years, the palace officially stated Camilla would be called Princess Consort when Charles became king, not Queen, never Queen. Then in February 2022, Elizabeth announced Camilla would be Queen Consort after all. The goalposts moved when they thought we'd stopped watching. Number 27, documents still hidden. This is happening right now, this year, as you watch this video. There are Diana-era documents that remain classified to this day. Correspondence between palace officials, internal memos about handling the marriage breakdown, communications about Diana's state of mind, records of decisions made about her security, her access, her future. Freedom of information requests have been submitted repeatedly, denied every single time. Researchers have tried to access Royal Archives materials from that era, blocked. The palace continues spending money, right now in 2026, to keep these documents sealed. Legal fees, administrative costs, whatever it takes to ensure certain files never see daylight. What's in those documents that's worth protecting decades later? What decisions were made? What did they know? What did they do? The cover-up isn't history, it's ongoing. Number 28, the ongoing budget. The royal household still maintains annual budgets for reputation management and privacy protection. Public money still protecting secrets, decades after Diana's death. Number 29, the Queen's final wishes. Queen Elizabeth's final instructions regarding Camilla's role and title were reportedly modified in her final years. Royal watchers believe changes were made when Elizabeth was too frail to object, when she could no longer protect Diana's memory. The ultimate betrayal, executed when the one person who might have stopped it could no longer speak. Number 30, William still hasn't forgiven her. This is the secret that proves all the money was wasted, all the effort, all the spin, all the planted stories, for nothing. Royal biographer Christopher Anderson revealed William's true feelings in August 2024. His exact words, he tolerates her. Tolerates, not accepts, not loves, not respects, not welcomes, tolerates the bare minimum. After 27 years since Diana's death, after all the PR campaigns, after Operation Mrs. PB, after Mark Bolland's 100 planted stories, after the 54-point swing in public opinion, after millions and millions of taxpayer pounds spent on rehabilitation, Diana's eldest son, the future King of England, still hasn't accepted the woman who destroyed his mother's marriage. The man who will one day sit on the throne still looks at Camilla and sees the other woman. Anderson also revealed that Camilla has always been a little afraid of William, that when she first met him in 1998, she needed alcohol to get through it, that even now, decades later, the relationship remains cold, ice cold. William wears his mother's ring. He gave it to Kate. Diana's sapphire sits on the finger of the future queen, a daily reminder of who came before, of who should still be here. Some things can't be bought. Some memories can't be erased, not even with decades of effort and millions of taxpayer pounds. William remembers, and he always will. 30 secrets, exposed, millions of pounds, spent hiding the truth from you, your taxes, funding the cover-up for decades. Camilla is queen consort now. She sits beside the king at every state function. She wears the jewelry Diana once wore. She holds the position Diana was denied. But the truth doesn't disappear just because someone paid to bury it. The receipts exist. The planted stories are documented. The code name is on record. The poll numbers tell the story. They spent millions to change your mind. Now you know exactly how they did it. Now here's what the palace is truly afraid of. 30 secrets prove what they did in the past. But there are prophecies, ancient texts and modern seers that predict what's coming. Next, a 500-year-old prophecy predicted Queen Elizabeth's death to the exact year. She died in 2022 at age 96, exactly as written in 1555. Now that same prophecy is pointing directly at Camilla and Charles and the future of the crown itself. 15 eerie predictions, some from Nostradamus, some from seers who predicted COVID before it happened, some already unfolding in 2026. If you want to see what the prophecies say is coming for Camilla, watch this video next.